The chocolate fudge crumble cookies are one of my absolute favorites. They're rich, fudgy and decadent. They're perfect if you love anything super chocolatey. And so today I'm going to show you how to make an at-home version of the cookies, which may even be better than the original. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to get started firstly with our chocolate fudge frosting, and the reason for this is because it needs to set and firm up. As you can see in front of me, we've got all our ingredients for that, starting off with icing sugar and then cocoa powder. Then we've got 2 bars of dark chocolate, unsalted butter and double cream. So we're going to start off by taking our double cream and adding it into a medium-sized saucepan. We're going to put that on a low to medium heat and let that gently simmer until it starts forming little bubbles around the edge. It's sort of like the step before boiling that we're looking for. Once that has started simmering, we're going to lower the temperature back to a low heat and add in 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder and mix until combined. Once your cocoa powder has been mixed in, we're going to add in all the other ingredients. We've got our butter, and we're going to break up our dark chocolate into small pieces and add that in too, as well as our icing sugar. And then we're just going to keep mixing with the spatula while it continues to cook low and slow until all the ingredients have melted together and we have a gorgeous fudgy chocolatey liquid, and then we're going to take it off the hob at that point. So we now have a gorgeous smooth mixture. I switched out my spatula for a hand balloon whisk just close to the end and just gave it a really good mix through to remove any lumps, because there were a few little cocoa powder lumps, but you could easily avoid those by sifting the cocoa powder in. So now what we're going to do with that is cling film it and let it chill for about 45 minutes to an hour until it firms up and becomes a lovely frosting consistency. While that's chilling, we're now going to move on to making our cookie dough. As you can see in front of me, we've got all of our ingredients here, starting off with bicarbonate of soda, then we've got golden syrup, cocoa powder, light brown sugar and caster sugar, margarine, plain flour, and 100 grams of milk chocolate. We're going to start off by retrieving a large mixing bowl, and then into the mixing bowl, we're going to start with our margarine. You can also use room temperature butter if you'd prefer. I've just developed my crumble cookie recipe with margarine and like the results it creates, followed by our caster sugar and brown sugar. We've got brown sugar today because it's going to help us get that really nice fudgy chocolate texture that we're looking for. We almost want these cookies to be like biting into a brownie. They're going to be that fudgy, so the brown sugar helps create that moisture in the cookie. We're going to take a electric hand mixer or a stand mixer and just mix those together with the paddle attachment on the stand mixer until it's light and fluffy. It should only take about 2 minutes maximum. Next up, we're going to crack in our medium room temperature egg and then mix that through as well using the electric mixer. It might look slightly curdled at this point, but don't panic because adding in our dry ingredients will fix that. And then we're going to add in my secret ingredient for fudgy cookies before adding in our dry ingredients. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of golden syrup into the mixture and just quickly mix that through with our mixer. If you don't have a golden syrup in your country, you can use honey or maple syrup instead. And now into the bowl, we're going to add our dry ingredients, starting off with plain flour and also cocoa powder. And then we're going to add in half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, because this is going to help us get those nice flat circular cookies that we're looking for with our crumble cookie dupes. And then this time we're going to use a spatula and fold the ingredients together until we get a lovely cookie dough. We now have our gorgeous chocolatey cookie dough, and it's also important to mention that for these cookies you want to use quite a dark cocoa powder, because a lighter brown cocoa powder isn't going to give us firstly that fudgy texture, but also that color. Fudge brownie sort of things are usually much darker in color, so be sure to use dark cocoa powder. What I'm going to do now is break up 1 bar of milk chocolate, cut it up into small pieces, and then just mix that through as well, just to zhuzh these cookies up even more. And then once our chocolate chips are in the dough, we're going to pop the bowl in the fridge for 10 minutes while we preheat our oven to 170 for a fan oven or 190 for a conventional oven. Once the dough is chilled, we're going to grease and line 2 baking trays with parchment paper, and then using either a cookie scoop or a tablespoon, we're going to start scooping up balls of cookie dough, rolling them into balls, and then placing 4 per tray in a diagonal pattern so that when they bake, they don't all spread into one giant cookie. Once they're actually on the trays, we're going to just press down the tops until they almost look like discs, because for our crumble cookies, obviously we would like to get a nice flat circular surface. By pressing down the tops, it just helps them along their way to create that perfect shape that we're looking for. Once all the cookies are on the trays, we're going to bake them 1 tray at a time for about 10 to 12 minutes. I always bake mine for 12 minutes, but it's important to remember that every oven runs at different temperatures. Some of them run hotter and some of them run cooler, so it's important to start checking on them probably from about 10 minutes. Once they come out the oven, if they're looking not super circular, you can take a round cookie cutter and just gently press the edges in while they're still hot. And also, if your cookies are not as flat as you would like, you can just take a spoon and gently just tap the top of each cookie when they come out the oven. As you can see, my fudge frosting is ready to use. I've just whipped it with my hand mixer just to make it nice and fluffy. So yeah, it's now time to start decorating. What we're going to do with our frosting is add it into a piping bag with a star-shaped nozzle. We're going to pipe on our icing onto each cookie in a sort of swirl pattern flatten as they would do at Crumbl. And then optionally, if you would like, you can finish these cookies off with some sprinkles. I'm gonna go for some funfetti sprinkles just to make them look really cute. You can use chocolate sprinkles, anything you like, and you don't even have to use them if you prefer not to. And so there you have it. That is how to make chocolate fudge Crumbl style cookies. These look absolutely incredible. They smell incredible, and I just know they're gonna taste incredible. We've got that gorgeous fudgy cookie base with the chocolate fudge frosting that just melts in your mouth. They're just a dream come true. On that note, I hope you enjoyed coming along with me to learn how to make these today. If you did enjoy the video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you have any other baking suggestions that you would like me to try. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week for a new video.